It's your boy Football Time. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. College football 26 versus college football 25, side by side. Woo, boy, oh boy, this is something I was actually waiting for. I'm pretty sure he posted this, Eric Rayweather, by the way, posted this earlier, but I guess maybe he has some copyright issues that he had to get handled or something like that. But from what I've seen, there's definitely been a lot of improvements to the gameplay, obviously, but also from what he showed, the player likeness, some of them guys did not look like, they look totally different in 25 than what they actually look like in real life. Like, my boy was dark as hell in 25 and now he light skinned. They wasn't even the same models, wasn't even the same people. They just put the same name on them. They was not the same people. Okay, I don't care what you say, they were not. Okay, but I'm ready to hop into this. Hopefully you guys are ready to hop into this with me. Without further ado, let's jump right into this. Let's go, baby.
Let's take a look at college football 26 versus college football 25 side by side. This is mainly going to be comparing visuals.
Bro, look at the snow.
So let's start with player movement because there has been some conversations about this. It might not come across much on screen. However, I do think college football 26 is just a tad bit slower than 25. Now, that's not to say that the game still isn't very fast. You can see changing direction here. It does feel like 25 was just a slight bit faster, a slight bit snappier, but some could argue.
You know what? I'm sorry for pausing this early, only 30 seconds. 25 reminds me of, if you ever played, hey, if you don't like Madden, you're not having fun with Madden, you want to, play on arcade, okay? I'm telling you guys right now, play on arcade. Don't go to simulation, play arcade mode. You're going to have some of the best times ever. But that's what college football 25 looked like to me. Was like you was playing on arcade, not simulation. 26 is more dialed back. It's more of a balance. And I feel like they focus more on the movement of the players instead of the actual speed. Which, for some, they might like 25 better because of how fast-paced it was. But watching it, I see like 26. It strikes a good balance in my opinion.
You that 25 was a little too arcade, and this kind of balanced it just a little bit. The game's still very fast, but if you notice jukes and spins especially, you can tell they're not as fast as they were last year. They're just a little bit slower. They're not as snappy as last year. But
look
overall,
how fast that spin move was.
Responsive, and the left stick still feels rewarding. And here's an example of two running backs with the platinum shifty ability, because this does make you change directions quicker. You can see speed-wise, I mean, it's very much the same. Like I said, maybe a tad bit slower this year, but it's
you
still
would notice
fast.
it when it's defenders on the field, the pull away speed.
Easier last year, but it's still good this year. Another small thing you may have noticed is that they did finally update the kicking animation. It's a small difference, but I think you notice it more when playing than looking at a side-by-side. But this is the first time that a kicking animation from an EA game has been updated in quite some time. Now, one of the biggest changes for me is the overhauled QB animations, the throwing, the releases. You can really tell how much smoother and better the ball comes out of the QB's hands
also,
now.
Look at the socks length. It looks a lot better. It looks a lot more in 26. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, boy calves are glistening. You hear me? They shine bright like a diamond. Like, goddamn. But
I had like this weird warping effect before. Almost looked a little glitchy if you really slow it down and look at it.
Oh shit,
now the ball comes out
it
a lot
did.
more properly, I guess you could say, and it just looks more realistic. They've also added a bunch of different throwing animations to differentiate QBs. So right here, for example,
bro, that no look is so clean
in the pocket. This might be based on QB ratings or abilities potentially. I don't know if every QB can do it. On the run as well, there's just a ton of different new animations now. Before, there were just a certain amount of release animations for these QBs, both in the pocket, on the run, deep shots. Now there's probably at least 3 times as many of these different releases for these different situations, and they've just overhauled them all to make them look more realistic, and I think this is one of the best changes they made this year. Now let's get into some of the details and presentation things. So for the team intros, they did redo a lot of the ones from last year to make them more authentic. You could see even the crowd was updated. We don't have that same crowd member anymore that was at like every single game. The crowd.
I did not even know that was a thing until they mentioned it.
Oklahoma, they've added on to the intros, making them a little bit better than last year. Not everybody got an updated intro, but they're kind of working on building out, making each one even more specific and adding as many details as possible.
They both look amazing.
Here's another example for Texas Tech. You could see pretty drastic difference between last year and this year. Again, they're going to continue building these out for teams, adding more specific things, making them more in detail as years go on. But just showing a couple examples here of how they've changed some of the team intros. They didn't just kind of copy and paste every team introduction over from last year. And they've also done a lot of work with night intros. Now, for every team, they're not going to have a specialized night intro, but a decent amount of teams do. They have light shows now that flicker around for a lot of these bigger teams. And you can see it just makes the introduction in a night game more epic, which it is in real life. In real life, these night games are huge in college football, and so now they're just trying to add more.
It ain't nothing like a Saturday night college football game.
Things like that, so you can
no matter who your team is, it's just different.
Year. And for some teams like Arizona State, right here, for example, you can see they've got drone shows going off at night.
The light show looks so good.
Have stuff like that. So just a little bit of an extra touch on top of the introductions that they continue to build out. And another part of the introductions this year are band formations.
Woo! Look at that LSU band formation, baby.
This year to just make it look better.
Good girl,
now,
man,
in terms of like pre-game graphics and stuff like that, you can see on the left, that's pretty much what you got for every game, just a spotlight of the player. Now, on the right, you're seeing some new stuff that we have this year.
I did not know they added that.
You're going to see different ones each game. There's a few different options, so it makes each game feel a little bit different. Now, here's just a side-by-side graphical look of the Notre Dame helmet. A lot of people have mentioned how much better it looks this year. So, again, these things...
I was just so muted in 25. Like it almost, it doesn't even look, it almost looks like it's yellow. Like, am I tripping? Like, you can kind of see the gold a little bit up here, but this is yellow. Look at this. It's like it's clipping. It's like yellow, greenish, like a lime color right here. And then you do got a little bit of gold. This is straight out gold right here. This is how it's supposed to look. Oh, I did not know.
Should look better year to year. You should see the graphics improve at least a little bit, and you can see just
you definitely do see the models look a lot better
here in this snow entrance that I did. Just look at the shine on the helmets. I mean, a lot better looking than it was last year.
They got snow entrances.
Better each year, and it did. Another thing that greatly improved this year was the snow. It looks so much better this year than it did last year.
It does.
Falling through the air and even how it piles up on the ground. I still think they can make this even better, but this is a nice jump forward. Now, in terms
I feel like they're
going
to give Madden 26 and College Football 27.
Videos, but the rain itself looks to be pretty much untouched. Moving on to dirty jerseys and games. So this is College Football 25. Halfway through the game, you can see the jerseys are a little bit dirty. They did get some dirt on them last year. Again, you could see a little bit here, but for an all-white jersey, you kind of expect it to be dirtier than that. Now, here in College Football 26, halfway through the game, you're noticing that the jerseys get a lot dirtier, and they even get dirtier than this. I've seen them get pretty crazy, but you could see now pretty big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference in the dirt
of the game. But
look at even on like the back of the pants and stuff.
As others, as you can see, some have less than others. Maybe it's a snaps played type of thing. I'm not sure. So now let's look at player likeness side by side. These are just a few examples of last year.
This was one of the biggest things I saw.
They did update the faces for a number of players, but keep in mind.
Why does my boy right here look like he's a freshman in high school? This is a freshman in high school. Compared to, I ain't gonna lie, my boy is bulked up. Hey, boy hit the gym, you feel me? Hey, he tried to ask out the senior. His freshman year, the senior and stuff, they laughed at him and stuff. Hey, he said this summer, gains, I'm working out, baby. Hey, 10th grade year, he came out like this. Now, hey, now that senior, she done got dumped by her boyfriend. She got cheated on. She's in college. She's boo-hooing, crying while he looking like this. Come on now, he the man. Who really won? Who really won?
They're not using face scans. They're not going to be perfect. Some of them got
these are not the same people,
as you can see, but you know they're using AI and photos and things like that. Arch Manning, for example, I think face-wise looks a lot better than last year, but not everybody's going to be spot on accurate because they're not using official face scans.
Yeah, that's true. It's too many. It's too many college athletes.
Boys here, They got slight differences. Theirs aren't too major, in my opinion. Here's a big one. DJ Lagway looks way more like himself this year than he did last year. And also do keep in mind, there are going to be a lot of the freshmen or really lower rated players that are not going to look too much like themselves right now. The same thing happened last year. They're going to update these in the first couple of updates as the game progresses, because they got to go in and continue fine tuning some of the newer players that came in. Because when you've got 12,000 players, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just going to take a while to get everybody looking decent.
That is a crazy number.
Here's an area where they did improve for a number of players, the body type. So you could see Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah, I love the new body type that they added.
In terms of his body type, because they did add a new lean archetype. And they also did slim down the flak jackets a little bit for some of these QBs, so they don't look as bulky as they did last year. Also, you'll notice it looks like they kind of adjusted helmet sizes for a lot of guys, so the helmets look more proportional. However, they can still get better with a lot of this, in my opinion. I do think they made an improvement for a lot of players, but you can still see some players kind of look like they have no neck. I heard that that was an issue that they are working on, and we should get it patched soon. Also, they need to slim the pads down for some of these players. Like, for example, I think Arch, outside of the flak jacket, looked better last year body type than this year, and some of that is just the pads.
Oh yeah, he do.
I do think he's one that they need to slim down a little bit more, but overall, they did make an improvement here for a number of players.
Yeah, 25, he actually does look better in his uniform.
Presentation updates this year. So here you can see in the first quarter of 2 games here at Tulane. Then we go to the second quarter. You can see shadows starting to change, sky getting a little bit darker in 26. And here you go the third quarter. It's, I mean,
25 didn't do too bad though.
Football 26 and 25, it's still light outside. So this is definitely one of my favorite changes.
I love the dynamic lighting.
The QB walk-ups this year, they seem to be a little bit more varied. Last year, it seemed like they kind of did the same thing most of the time, whereas this year, seems like there's some more variation there. And here's another big upgrade is the side-by-side broadcast view, and really the reason for that is because if you notice, the defensive players this year, they move around and communicate pre-snap. This is actually something that was in Madden last year, and they've now carried it over to college football.
I remember this was a big thing in Madden last year, especially in the trailers.
And just static the whole time. So here is an example. Look at 25 last year and just look at the defense. They kind of are just in their spot. They're standing still. Now in 26, you see they move around more, they communicate, and it just makes the game look more real.
Oh, you can definitely see up there.
Sidelines in college football 25. This is an area also I think EA could really improve on. I know that it's really memory intensive with just how many players are in the crowd with sidelines and stadiums.
Yeah, and another thing about this, because I've seen people complain about this, especially like seeing it in trailers. Oh, why can't they get real people? First and foremost, these are games that are on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox. Secondly, the memory bandwidth to get everyone that looks like that on the field, off the field as well, is pretty big. It's a lot bigger than a lot of people think. Because you gotta remember, there's 11 guys on the football field at once. I mean, if you're playing on offense and defense, there's 11. So to get everybody in here, where some of the cameras do show, obviously, because we have this, but it's too much wasted memory for them to do that. Now, can they figure out a way to do it? They probably can, but it's like a give or take. Almost like kind of like the referees, remember? For the longest time, we did not have referees on the field. Then they added, I believe they added it with, was it Madden 24? It was 24, 23. It was one of them that they actually added it back. And one of the reasons why it wasn't, they took it out because the memory, it was waste of memory. But maybe PlayStation 6, the new Xbox, maybe they can work around the memory constraints.
Here's 26, but I do think they can make it better. They did add a slight bit more detail this year. We have players wearing towels and things like that, but mostly
which
still
is
the
cool.
same. Here's something else I thought was pretty cool and unique. So last year in 25, if you kicked the field goal on the road, this is what the big board would look like at the top. Now this year you'll see that they try to distract you with mascots and things like that. Small detail, but I thought it was pretty cool that they added that. Now, I wanted to look at Road to Glory a little bit. Of course, we know they added high school. They added a little bit more to the recruiting process, which is cool and all. However, the customization in terms of your playing styles, how you throw the ball and all that stuff, look at all the options they have this year versus last year. Just for throwing alone, and this also plays into regular QBs. A lot more throwing styles this year. Also, you can see there's ball carrying style, run styles, QB stance and the shotgun and under center. You can adjust your halfback stance, your wide receiver stance, linebacker.
Well, I like that low one. That's
so
like
now there is a lot more
Jalen Hurts.
customization in at least how your player is presented in terms of how they stand, how they
Hands
run,
on your
how they
knees,
release the ball.
hands
So
on your
they did
knees.
pretty good work with this and customizing the player. Now they just need to up the equipment a little bit more, and we'd really be cooking. Here's the Dynasty screen side by side. Now, in terms of the UI, it looks the same. I don't really have a problem with that. I don't think you need to update the UI just for the sake of it. If it works good, just keep rolling with it. They did add, obviously, more options like formation subs. They added a lot more league history for awards and bowl winners and all that stuff, which is really good. They updated recruiting, of course, made it a little bit more difficult, unlocked the transfer portal just a little bit more. So they did make obvious changes to Dynasty, but in terms of just looks, you know, outside of the coach standing on the side of the screen now, UI-wise, it's pretty much the same, but I think the UI works. You don't have to mess with it if it's working, in my opinion, so that's what that looks like. But in terms of coach customization and how he looks, they did a big change here, as most of you probably know by now. You had two options last year. That's it, but this year you've got a ton more. Now, right here is a look at the National Championship pregame intro. So they did change it up just a little bit. It's not a drastic difference, I don't think. You got some different angles of stuff. You got some shots that still look like they're about the same, but just some slight differences here. I would say not a crazy change. It's basically same formula as last year, maybe just some slightly different angles at certain parts, but basically going to be about the same thing. So just let it play out here so you can look at them side by side and just get a kind of a visual of what the pregame for the national championship game is looking like. Obviously, it is in a different stadium this year. That is a change, but you know.
Oh yeah, I was just about to say, ain't it in a different stadium?
That's to be expected, but otherwise, mostly the same for the pregame here. Now, in terms of the championship celebration, this one is a little bit different than the pregame. It still has kind of the same vibe, a lot of similar shots, maybe from different angles, but there are some different shots in here. It's a little bit different than last year, which is good to see. You want to see him change it up at least a little bit and not just completely copy and paste it over, because there were a lot of years with Madden, for example, where they did copy and paste the Super Bowl celebration clip, angle for angle for like 4 to 5 years. So they've been changing it up a little bit more recently, but here we get a slight change, which is nice. I think I would just like to see them just have a few different versions of this, for, you know, for both games even, and just replay them throughout the year so you're not seeing, you know, the same one all year long. Now, there's a ton of other really small, cool details that they...
What was about? I was about to say something. Oh, to me, the difference was the player likeness. I mean, my goodness, the presentation. I like that they added the snow with the entrance, like for the Notre Dame and stuff like that. The snow though has been, I mean, drastically improved. Now, obviously, Madden's snow is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. College football is 8 out of 10. I believe they're gonna add the snow that they're gonna have in Madden 26 and College Football 27. Cause that snow, if you guys have not seen it, I have a video on it on my channel, and I have a short. You gotta check it out. You might not concede too much, but you gotta check it out. It's gonna be a lot of broken controllers, a lot of broken screens, a lot of broken desks. It's gonna be a lot of broken things. Alright, playing in the snow, especially in Buffalo. Just warning you guys. But that's gonna do it for me, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. Love you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.